On the 1st of December 1918, the Great Union of Romania was declared in the city of Alba Iulia. After more than 2 years of chaos and bloodshed, Romania stood as a victorious member of the Entente, having more than doubled in size by seizing land from its vanquished neighbours. The long-held dream of unifying all Romanians into one state had been realised, but at a terrible price. 500,000 casualties, foreign occupation, and a devastated economy had brought the country to its knees. With an entire generation scarred, reconstruction would take far longer than the conflicts that had brought it. Whilst remaining neutral remained incredibly difficult, the choice of Romania's allies had been far from inevitable. With victory secured against Bulgaria during the Second Balkan War in 1913, both the Central Powers and Entente courted Romania to join their respective sides. So why did Romania decide to fight in World War I, and why alongside the allies of Britain, France and Russia? And like always, to answer those questions we need some good old context. Similar to its Balkan neighbours, Romania in its modern form was founded in the 19th century amidst a wave of pan-Romanian nationalism. In 1859, the former Danubian principalities of the Ottoman Empire, Wallachia and Moldavia, united to form the Romanian United Principalities, headed by Prince Alexandru Cuza. Both parts of the Romanian nation had a long history of cooperation and independence, providing a strong base through which a unified state would arise. Though technically still an Ottoman vassal, Romania was de facto independent, merely paying a small annual tribute to the ailing empire. After being a tremendous twat, Alexandru Cuza was overthrown in 1866. Wallachia and Moldavia's unification had only been allowed for the duration of Cuza's reign, and without him, Romania's existence was fragile. So they came up with a simple solution: choose a foreign king. Following the general European trend at that time, their new king was to be German, because the Germans were the Timur of royal families. The new chosen monarch was to be Karl von Hohenzollern-Sigmaringen, and he was crowned as Carol I in 1866, beginning Romania's 80-year experiment as a monarchy. In 1877, the Russo-Turkish War finally saw Romania declare its independence. Now it could begin to look outward onto a Europe engulfed by diplomatic conniving. Much like its neighbours, Romania held irredentist ambitions, most notably on Transylvania in Austria-Hungary, and Bessarabia and Bukovina in the Russian Empire. Russia had annexed part of Romanian territory after 1877, proving that their eastern neighbour was no ally. With few options, the Romanian government reluctantly signed a defensive pact with Austria-Hungary in 1892, in a similar vein as Italy. This presented the possibility of Romania joining the Triple Alliance, which would secure it from the Ottoman Empire and Russia, but at the cost of Transylvania. In essence, Romania was forced to relinquish its territorial claims in exchange for protection from other powers. And as long as they remained a very minor power in the Balkans, this wouldn't change. As Europe entered into the great fun that was the 20th century, a web of defensive alliances, pacts, and agreements had been drawn up. Now, a single conflict had the potential to ignite the entire continent. By 1912, Ottoman control over the Balkans, though sizable, was a shadow of its former self. Smelling weakness, and with an eagerness to show their power, Serbia, Bulgaria and Greece formed the Balkan League and secured a bloody victory. Though Romania remained neutral, a war was the perfect way to demonstrate their prestige to the great powers. And sure enough, in June 1913, the Second Balkan War began in earnest, this time between old allies. Romania, alongside Serbia and Greece, carved up Bulgaria. As Chancellor Bismarck once said, an explosion that would engulf the powder keg of Europe would soon erupt in the Balkans. After crushing Bulgaria and pressing its claims on Dobruja, Romania had proven itself a powerful state in the region. Though technically bound to the Triple Alliance, France and Russia began to turn to potential allies in the Balkans, with Romania as its crown jewel. A new Francophile party was formed in 1914 led by Ionel Brătianu, son of the great Ion Brătianu, who had played a key role in Romania's political scene. With popular sympathy now coalescing toward France and the West, the issue of relations with Russia played on the minds of the elite. Were Russia to gain Romania as an ally, they would have a direct route into the heart of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, but for that to happen, the issue of Bessarabia, a majority Romanian region, would need to be resolved. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Sazonov travelled to Romania and arranged royal visits between King Carol and the Tsar, with the possibility of a wedding to strengthen relations. This wasn't just a game of diplomatic manoeuvre, but a match where the loss would also mean the loss of Romania's sovereignty. Neither had negotiations with Austria-Hungary over the right of Romanian speakers gone anywhere, and by the eve of the Great War, Romania sat in diplomatic limbo. When heir apparent Franz Ferdinand decided to end his free trial of being alive, Europe swiftly mobilised its armies and prepared for the bloodbath that lay ahead, but Romania still sat on the fence. In a memorandum written by Austro-Hungarian Baron Franz Macieko, the prospect of Romanian entry into the Entente was declared a grave danger to the empire. They believed that to prevent Romania from joining the war against them, the destruction of Serbia as a potential ally was vital. Except whilst this diplomatic intrigue was happening, the defensive agreement between Romania and Austria-Hungary from 1892 was still valid. Keyword: defensive. As Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, they apparently didn't understand that invading someone first doesn't count as defence. Italy faced a similar situation and decided on neutrality before hedging its bets. Romania simply didn't get involved at this point because it directly contradicted their goals. If they aided Austria-Hungary, it would mean sidelining the Transylvania issue and losing a potential ally in Serbia. If they aided Serbia, there was no guarantee of victory. So amidst the chaos of the war, Romania compromised and chose neutrality, waiting to see where the cards would land. By late 1916, the war had entered a stalemate. Having weighed its options for 2 long years, Romania finally decided to throw their lot in with the Entente. The main target of Romanian irredentism was Transylvania, and were the Central Powers to win, the region would never see unification with the country. But that isn't to say Romania didn't join without assurances, and boy did they have a list of those. Enel Brătianu brought an agreement to France and Britain. In return for Romanian participation, the Allies would do their best to defend their new ally with men and material, and no separate peace would be held until Romania had seized its rightful territory. Top of this, Romania was to be treated as a great power in the same capacity as Russia. Desperate to open up new fronts elsewhere and with little choice, the Allies accepted, and Romania quickly invaded Transylvania, where the war went extremely well, said no one ever. The Central Powers immediately invaded from the south, and by the end of 1916 all of Wallachia had been occupied. When Russia decided it didn't like Tsars anymore and succumbed to Lenin's tomfoolery, Britain and France considered dropping Romanian and Serbian support to focus entirely on other fronts. But to their surprise, Romania continued to survive after some difficult victories. But the inevitable would come in May of 1918. With the signing of the Treaty of Bucharest, it seems that Romania had been brought out of the war for good. But if there's anything that history has taught us, it's that the Balkan countries never give up. By mid-1918, the fortunes of war had begun to turn in the Entente's favour. Success on the Thessaloniki front in Macedonia threatened to sever the Central Powers' control in the Balkans, and the entry of the USA made long-term victory all but impossible. Romania promptly re-entered the war with renewed vigour in November of 1918, just 1 day before the armistice. Though the dream of a greater Romania had been realised, neither had all of their demands been met. For example, Romania failed to push their border to the Tisa River in Hungary or become a great power. Hungary later turning to communism and the Russian Civil War in full swing, trouble loomed on the horizon of Europe, but that's a story for another video. So why did Romania join the war to begin with, and why side with the Entente? Situated between powerful states that could end Romania's existence at any moment forced a careful policy of neutrality. Like its Balkan neighbours, Romania pursued a foreign policy based on ethnic irredentism, though many of its targets lay in the possession of the great powers. When war came, Romania had to weigh its options carefully. Allying with the Central Powers would bring it security but entailed abandoning its claims to Transylvania, whereas allying with the Entente would allow it to seize Austro-Hungarian lands, at the cost of antagonising nations that either distrusted it or would potentially threaten it in the future. At the end of the day, Romania bore a mutilated victory. Though it had emerged with vast new territories, it had also suffered a humiliating defeat. With few guarantees of protection, Romania would now be forced to contend with 3 revanchist neighbours, possibly on their own. As Romanian statesmen returned to Bucharest in 1919, they wondered how long the Great Union on either side of the Carpathians would last. If you've managed to make it this far, thank you so much for watching. So this video was based on an older script I'd written many moons ago, and after listening to it I wasn't really happy with the quality. So what better way to fix it than by redoing everything from scratch? I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like it and do drop a comment. This has been Irovic, stay safe, and like always, I will see you in the next one.